Hi, I'd like to show and explain my process for gluing and preparing to glue. So as you can see, I've already cut my base and I've cut all the walls from the foam core. I've also sanded any edges, so when I glue, everything will be a nice right angle. So I've set up the foam core approximately how I want it on the base. So now I will just lay everything flat so I know exactly where everything goes. In between each of these dividers, I need 2.85 centimeters. So I will add 0.5 centimeters to that measurement, which is the length or the thickness of the foam core. So that's now 3.35. So what I have already done, I measure 3.35 and make very light cuts with my knife. Of course, not deep enough to cut through the base, but just deep enough so I can see it. So I use those guidelines to know exactly where to line up the edge of the wall, so I can get very accurate measurements like that. The last thing I will do is just check that the width is okay. So I can line these up and check that there's no foam core overflowing past the edge of the base. If that happens, you would need to sand down the walls that are in between the other walls. So after all this preparation, I'm finally ready to glue. What I will do is first glue a piece that extends the entire length of the base. So this one. And then I will glue everything that is perpendicular to this piece. So in this case, it would be these walls. And then I glue everything perpendicular to that, which is parallel to the first wall, like this. I find it's very difficult if you first glue two parallel pieces and then put a wall between. It's very difficult to get an exact measurement like that. I finished gluing my piece, so I will place a piece of scrap paper over it and put something heavy on top. And I'll wait a few hours to let the glue dry. This is the glue I use. Your local hobby shop may or may not have this exact brand, but any PVA glue which dries clearly will work well. It wasn't really a problem for this tray, but sometimes you need to glue walls and you have very little tolerance. The components will fit by maybe 1 millimeter or less. In that case, I suggest having the component nearby, so as you glue, you can just check that, yes, everything does fit in the tray. So, that is the gluing process. Thank you for watching.